was the Holocaust possible? The Holocaust was the mass murder of around 6 million Jews, 5 million Soviets, and hundreds of thousands of Polish, Gypsies, homosexuals, and disabled people in Europe. This event occurred at the hand of the Nazis led by Adolf Hitler. The extent of dehumanization that occurred during the Holocaust, particularly towards Jews, can be difficult to comprehend. Jews were once a valuable part of society throughout Europe. So how did this group go from being social and economic contributors to being forced into overcrowded ghettos, being stripped of their rights and their belongings, being forced into labour, separated from their families, and with many being shot, gassed, or bashed to death if they hadn't already died from starvation or illness? Prior to the Holocaust, there had been a long history of anti-Semitism throughout Europe, including traditional anti-Semitism, where Jews were perceived as the embodiment of evil, through to modern anti-Semitism, which included Jews being viewed as agents of capitalization and pseudo-scientific beliefs that the Jewish race was inferior. Nazi anti-Semitism combined elements from all forms of anti-Semitism and therefore made it powerful and more relatable for many Germans. It seemed an important factor in improving the quality of life for all German people. Daniel Goldhagen argues that the Holocaust was possible solely because of German eliminationist anti-Semitism, a very powerful form of anti-Semitism with an agenda of eliminating European Jewry. Goldhagen believed eliminationist anti-Semitism was an embedded value in German national identity. Due to this, he described most ordinary Germans to be willing executioners of Jews, which allowed for dehumanization of that single religious group. However, the Holocaust did not only target Jews, and Germans were not the only people who killed others. Christopher Browning suggests that the pre-war indoctrination of Nazi racial theories is a factor in which led to the acceptance of mass murder of certain societal groups under Nazi control. The Nazis emerged in 1920 and were known to be anti-Semites, demonstrated through many mediums, including their 25-point program, which stated, "Only those who have German blood, regardless of creed, can be our countrymen. Hence, no Jew can be a countryman." Hitler, leader of the Nazis, was able to persuade many Germans to accept Nazi policies in relation to extraditing Jews, euthanizing the disabled, and anyone who posed a threat to German purity through his speeches. Joseph Goebbels describes Hitler's persuasiveness by saying, "He speaks his heart and therefore reaches the hearts of those who hear him. He has the ability to express things so clearly, logically and directly that listeners are convinced that that is what they have always thought themselves." Hitler was able to make Germans believe that the Holocaust was for their best interests. Other reasons the Holocaust was possible was because people were too scared to say no. It was easier and safer for them to follow orders, even if those orders meant killing others. The cover of war allowed for morals to be put aside. Lucy Davidovich states, "Destruction of Jews was Hitler's main reason for embarking on war. It kept others occupied so they did not question the mass killings." Nazis took on more responsibility, which usually meant taking part in more barbaric actions to advance their careers, which helped them to support their families. They also got a sense of power and control as their rank increased. All this involvement on such a large scale meant many become somewhat acclimatized to violence and killing, and it is possible that those involved in a few killings did not realize the scale of deaths that were occurring. Germans who did not actively participate in the Holocaust were generally tolerable to anti-Semitic policies and events that were occurring. Jews were involved indirectly in other Jews' deaths. The Nazis appointed Jews in positions of power in ghettos to control work groups. In concentration camps, some Jews were made Sonderkommandeurs who had to assist in the disposal of bodies from gas chambers. Jews took these roles out of fear in an attempt to preserve their own lives. The Holocaust ended when Germany was defeated in war, with millions of displaced persons able to recount the atrocities that they experienced. It may be asked as to why it wasn't prevented in the first place and why it wasn't possible for it to end sooner. This is largely because the international community was not aware of the extent of the Holocaust. The Nazis' so-called euthanasia program was a confidential operation, much like many of their concentration and death camps. Media coverage of the events occurring in Germany was severely limited. When Germany breached the Treaty of Versailles in 1936, they met no international objection or resistance.
created using Powtoon.